Are we witnessing a flight to safety inside the crypto market? What caused Bitcoin and the crypto market to come down? What's causing all of this red? I'm going to give you institutional insights into what is happening in the charts and between the charts. You don't want to miss this. This is incredibly powerful. Welcome back, CTKS students and members. My goal is to assist you to be more of a financial blessing to yourself and those you love. I'm seeking to give you institutional grade insight into the markets and across the markets, so let's assess market direction and momentum. We do this through the cheat sheet, which is available absolutely free from CTKSmethod.org. Let's run the numbers. According to the cheat sheet, inside row 1, which is the VIX, the DXY, dollar yen, the US 10, the US 2, and oil, we're seeing an increase in fear inside the main markets. We saw the VIX rise up really quite substantially, and that's put negative price momentum into the crypto market. We've also seen a flight to safety in terms of the DXY, which has pushed dollar yen up. We've seen a decrease in the yields so far, and oil has been selling off. But the key to just focus in on at the current time, please keep an eye on the VIX. If the VIX spikes up, we anticipate that crypto and the stock market will come down. If the VIX comes down, we expect that crypto and the stock market will go up. In yesterday's video, I was saying how important it was to keep your eye on the VIX. If the VIX came up, it was going to just decay crypto down. Now, what happened with the VIX? What caused this huge spike into the VIX? And what was it? It was a positive CTKS gap. We talked about this in yesterday's video. What it basically meant was the VIX could go up, and it could go up really hard. And if it went up hard, it had all of this structural overhead resistance to just dampen it. But what typically happens, people don't know that these gaps exist inside price structure. So they see something like this and they think it's just going to continue up and up and up and it's never going to stop. That is not the case. Structure is your friend, and when you know it, you know it. You get that X-ray vision into the markets. Row 2 inside the cheat sheet allows us to triangulate row 1. And it's composed of junk bonds, the euro dollar, the Aussie dollar, gold, silver, and copper. What we saw in the past trading session, the VIX spiked up and then it encountered that upward structural resistance. And what happened to junk bonds? Junk bonds has been coming down. Bitcoin was sniffing out weakness inside the junk bond market. And of course, no alt can escape Bitcoin's gravity, and the stock market will impact Bitcoin as well. Bitcoin has been coming down. Now, what does this mean to us? If the VIX keeps on spiking up, that's a problem, and that will result in junk bonds coming down. If junk bonds comes down, that's going to drag the entire stock market and crypto with it. If you were not looking at the cheat sheet, you simply wouldn't know these factors. And if you were only inside the crypto market, you would be looking and saying, what the heck? Who's selling Bitcoin and smashing furniture? So what do we see here with the euro dollar? It's coming down. It's got negative price momentum. The Aussie dollar is also coming down. Gold has been doing relatively well, but it's kind of stuck where it is right now. We'll have a look at the structural levels on gold. Silver has been coming down and copper has been coming down as well. You'll often hear people talk about a flight to safety, and look at the VIX. The VIX, this red line here, and of course gold in the background. The VIX and gold are hanging out together. Now, what does this mean? This actually confirms a flight to safety. There is a ton of geopolitical instability right across the world. It's global geopolitical instability, and it's always there. Any bull market has its fair share of that particular problem. So please bear in mind, these particular waves are expected and they are normal. But what is the structure? That's what we need to know. There are some really key structural levels that you need to keep your eye on with gold. One is at this 2626 level, the other just around 2648. What we saw as the VIX was coming up, it created a flight to safety into gold, and that gold flight to safety, you see how it went up and up and up until it hit 2648 and said, oh boy, I need a breather, as all the sellers came in to try to push gold down. Now the question is, what is the structural level above? Because if we get a continued flight to safety, this could open up at the 2662 level. If the VIX starts to back off and falls through that CTKS gap, we could actually come all the way down to 2627. Row 3 of the cheat sheet is the major market indices, and we can see the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, the Dow, and the Russell. And what did we see in the last trading session as the VIX spiked up? What did gold and Bitcoin do? Well, they spiked up and then decayed. But look at what happened to the major market indice, the S&P 500. It really came down. And the thing to note is that how the major market indices move is how Bitcoin moves. And when you understand that, it's a little bit of a lights on moment, because you can look at things and say Bitcoin is not exactly like gold and not exactly like a stock or a risk on asset. It's a kind of a hybrid. Now, when we look at the NASDAQ has been retracing because we had that big spike up in the VIX, the Dow Jones retracing, the Russell 2000 retracing. This means that risk off activity is now being highlighted. We do have a flight to safety. Yesterday, I said it was really important to keep your eyes on the futures of the S&P 500, the Dow, the NASDAQ, and the Russell, because they'll impact every single economy around the world. And you can see it happening right before your eyes. It is very important to keep your eyes on the futures. And what did we see here in the S&P 500? That's a pretty nasty pullback. The NASDAQ, pretty nasty as well, and the Dow and the Russell. Each and every month inside the service, at the start of the month, I do these CTKS paths. And these CTKS paths seek to represent where price can end up at the end of the month. We saw a big surge because of President-elect Trump coming into office with very stock market and crypto-friendly policies. We've had a pullback to normalize price. Well, we're nearly there. And if we continue out, we would end up the month at the target of 18,942. So it's just important to be aware that these particular paths are very strong. Even though price took off like a rocket, it's come back to the normalized price path. You can see these price paths across all of the 32 charts inside the service at ctksmethod.org. That is, if you wanted the price path on Bitcoin, on gold, on silver, on oil, on the euro dollar, on the NASDAQ, the S&P 500, they're all there. In fact, there's all of the row 1, row 2, and all of the cheat sheet targets from the normalized up path to the consolidation path to the down path on all of these things. Getting into row 4, which is Apple, Tesla, Microsoft, and Nvidia, we can see that the push up in the VIX was responsible for Apple coming down, Tesla also coming down, Microsoft coming down, and Nvidia coming down. So we have confirmation between row 1, row 2, row 3, and row 4 of negative price direction. In row 5, we look at the crypto market, crypto total market cap, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and MicroStrategy. Haha, just kidding, MicroStrategy. What are we seeing inside the crypto market? From the spike in the VIX, it's brought the crypto market down, and total crypto market cap has been coming down rather hard in comparison with Bitcoin. Ethereum is remaining very weak, and you can see that gap between Bitcoin and Ethereum. MicroStrategy has been going absolutely gangbusters. Let's have a look at those structural levels. MicroStrategy has been doing really well. It got above an area of really substantial structural support, playing it around that 414 level. As it made its way up, it had another level of structural overhead resistance at 445. That positive CTKS gap encountered a structural resistance level at 484, and it's currently converting this into structural support. If we get continued momentum up, we've got a 520 structural resistance level and then a much stronger one at 540. If the VIX keeps on spiking, just anticipate that MicroStrategy, which sits in the border of crypto and the stock market, the equity market and the crypto market, could well retrace, but it has enormous structural support at around that 420 level. Something to keep in mind. If the bulls continue on their rampaging path, 540 is in the sights. One secret I teach inside the masterclass: if you want a DCA in, dollar cost average in, look towards structural levels. Structural levels are phenomenal. As Warren Buffett says, this creates a moat of safety, and that's what you actually require, because price is always going up and down, up one day, down the next. It's very normal. And talking about that, if we actually lose this 484 structural support area, there's one down further at 445. When looking at Bitcoin, one of the things that we absolutely understand, Bitcoin cannot escape the stock market's gravity. The VIX is playing with it. In terms of a flight to safety, we saw the VIX spike, and that impacted the crypto market. Now, what we understand is that we can't just look at recent price to try to figure out where support and resistance levels are. That will mislead us, because these are not statistically significant lines, because they don't account for all of price history. That's why we mark up the chart with the CTKS method. Now, popping on the indicator, what do we see here? We can see that around that 92,600 level, we have a lot of structural support, and we have structural resistance at a 96,000 level. If we look up a little bit, we've got an area of structural resistance around that 97,940 level. So what could happen? If the bulls get their way, they're going to push it to the 96,100 level and seek to go upwards to crack the 100,000. If the bears get their way, they're going to have a bit of a problem, because the 92,600 level will be really quite well defended. That doesn't mean it's a brick wall. That doesn't mean it stops there. These areas are elastic. Sometimes if there's a big spike in the VIX, we could see the price just goes down, maybe even midway, before coming back and retesting it, either getting above it or collapsing down to the 9600 mark. So the bearish case is 9600. The bullish case is around that 97,700 level. For stressless trading, I just use the Stanfield levels because they are so incredibly powerful and predictive. There's a lot of people that would like to share the Bitcoin levels. Here, grab a screenshot of this one and just post it wherever you like. We know that we can't just compare Bitcoin and not look at total crypto market cap. Look at this area, and I'm going to show you something really quite fascinating on total. And here it is. The entire crypto market came into structural overhead resistance. You remember the VIX was spiking up. Total crypto market cap can give you incredible signals, so it's very important to be aware of where the structural levels are. And to do that, you need to draw them across more than 3,700 plus days. So what are we seeing here? Just a little bit above the 3.08 trillion, there was an area of overhead structural resistance. The sellers were inhabiting the entire crypto market and saying, "Thou shall not pass." And it didn't help at all that the VIX was spiking. This created a lot of negative momentum inside the crypto market. And you also know that that was happening inside the stock market. Gold was going up as a flight to safety as well as the DXY. You know so much by doing the cheat sheet. It's literally like you could become a financial commentator just from the cheat sheet. And just to prove that I'm saying what actually occurred, have a look at Bitcoin's gravitational pull. That's Bitcoin is the blue line. As the entire crypto market came into overhead structural resistance, what did Bitcoin do? It said, blimey, I'm out of here, I'm coming down. And then it recovered. Your knowledge is always your earnings, so please be aware that you must look across all the structural levels across the cheat sheet, because it will make you a fortune. If you would like to learn how all the markets intercorrelate and interconnect, the masterclass would be something that's worth considering. The links are in the description. If you would like to take a screenshot of this and to share it out, please do so. Getting into row 6, which is the accompanying part of Bitcoin and Ethereum, we can see Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, Binance Coin, and Ethereum Classic. There's something really intriguing happening here. For example, on Litecoin, we can see something happening inside Bitcoin and something happening inside Litecoin. Is that being reflected across Bitcoin Cash? Well, yeah, it is. What about Binance Coin? Are we seeing something there? Yes, we are. What about Ethereum Classic? Classic Ethereum. We're seeing the same thing here. Please let me know in the comments what I'm referring to. And bonus if you know the rule number. In row 6 and row 7, we're looking deep inside the crypto market. Row 7 is ADA, Cardano, Solana, Doge, and XRP. And what have we seen? As Bitcoin was coming down, what was ADA doing? It was actually coming down before Bitcoin was coming down. But it's been on an absolute rampage. It was so strong in yesterday's session. What about poor old Solana? It's not looking too happy at the current time, but it is doing something that I pointed out inside row 6. It's very important to keep that in your mind, what that is. And masterclass students and members of the CTKS Method service, you should understand what that is. Let's have a look at Doge. Doge sold down quite substantially, but it's reflecting something that you need to know. What about this inside XRP? I'm giving you a bit of a hint, but please let me know in the comments. And if you don't know what it is, please reach out to fellow masterclass students or CTKS members. As members of the CTKS Global family, please keep your eye on the S&P 500 futures, the NASDAQ futures, the Russell futures, and the Dow futures. You can see that the improvement is already translating into positive price momentum, not only inside of crypto and Bitcoin, but also right across global stock markets. Please keep your eyes on them. It's important. And if you're in Sydney, please come and join Kate and I on the 23rd to the 24th of November. If you're there, we would love to catch up. And have a great day or night ahead, my friends. And Kate and I look forward to catching up with you again in the next video. Ooh, that looks a lot of fun. Bye for now.